Okay, here's part 2 of the video. So I'm actually walking on the path, so the guys that come off the 9th green are going to have to walk around here. Mini golf boundary is the right edge of this, so we can fence all the way up to it. A couple of trees up the top of the hill here, which I think we'll keep. There's already a bench over there for the golfers, but I think we might be able to rig up some seating here under the trees. That'll give them a really good look out of the mini golf. So I think we've got to somehow get around the corner and up the hill, and I think we'll use this little flat period piece here to play our 18th across there, and then somehow maybe a gate here that gets them out onto that path, and then they can bugger off from there. So there'll actually be maybe a separate gate for the entry and the exit. So that's how the mini golf looks. Now that's the first site, which I think is the preferred site. Now if we come over here, this is the 11th hole, which is a par 5. So there's one tee here. There's a couple more tees down there. You can see the reds and the yellows, and then there's another spare one in front of that. But there's also a tee over here, which I think is the 11th. Well, the signage is there for the 11th, so they can actually play here as a par 5, but basically we're going to not touch that path. So all of this area down through here up to the edge of the putting green, we can keep nearly all of those trees, and we've got 3,300 square metres. This is the other side. So you would come across there, walk across up on this flat section. I think we'll get the warm-up putting green and holes 1 and 2, maybe 3, but I think 1 and 2. And then I think we get over to this edge here. Now this is a really steep drop off, so somewhere along here, and I think this is the best spot where we actually hit the little slippery dip hole, where I think we tee off here and we just tap it, and it runs down there, and it's going to be able to run all the way down to about where that sign is. So I think on my sketch I've got that as the 3rd hole, and then I bugger off around the side and come back. But there's a lot of this middle bit through here that we can't use. It's just too steep, so I'd assume that's going to be landscaped out. So that's the second option. Now obviously if we're talking about changes to the golf, if we go with option A, which is using the 10th hole, we've got to chop up I think the 4th hole on the golf course. Whereas if we go with this, we'll lose the spare hole, but we can keep the practice chipping green, but we lose all these tees at the back. So we'd have to have mini golf up here. We'd lose the red tees, because I think that's where the 18th hole is going to be. So I think we'll actually come in through here and start up the top of the hill, come around the bottom. We can play to about those red markers there as the 18th, and then they walk off the sand bucket and walk up the hill to get out of the place. The main golf course, that's the 18th green down there next to the driving range, so they've already got a heartbreak hill that walks up the back of the hill. So there's some steep bloody hills here. So ultimately this hole can get moved all the way down to those yellow markers, probably build another tee down there, and this hole goes from a par 5 to a par 4. But that's realistically the only change on the golf. So that'll be the big decision when we discuss whether or not this 10th hole gets moved to fit it over on site 1, or whether we go with this. Now either golf course is going to reduce from par 70 to a par 69, so I think most people want site A. I'm just going to show you one more thing over here. So this is the first hole, so they come across the front here. Now this is a really strong, this is like 399 metres from here. So this is the back pegs. Now I think it's awkward, because when you stand back here, you've got some of these trees on the right hand side that encroach a little bit, whereas if you look forward you can see the reds and the yellows. Now as I move right around the left here, now to be honest, as you set up on those red and yellow tees, I think that's a much better line into the golf hole, and I think you're better off building the tees back on this alignment. So you might lose a few metres from 399 to about 375 here, but what that does is This is your new 10th. This is your new first tees. Don't have to touch anything there. And this old tee section here is where your practice putting green gets moved to. So that solves our problem of where the putting green goes. I think originally I was going to have it over there on the top of the mini golf site, but I think this works better. So these guys are just factoring in how much money has to be spent on the golf course to make it happen. And if the 10th hole goes, we've got to build a new green, possibly 2 greens on the golf course. You've got to convert this into a practice putting green. Now, I've told them Chick is a golf course shaper, so I don't know whether the golf course stuff is going to have to get done before we start the mini golf, but you never know, there might even be an opportunity for Chicker to come down here and do the golf course works while all his gear's here. So anyway, there's the sites. I'm kind of hoping we use the 10th hole. I think the quality wise of both courses is about equal. I think the cost bill for both courses is about equal. But the kicker is the entertainment area. And the entertainment area for this big section here works brilliantly with this site. But you just got a little bit of disconnection from the other one. And bear in mind that this concrete area, you've still got golfers and golf carts whizzing past. So said they're going to have to pay their money in the pro shop. You're going to have some crossing there in behind that white ute, and then they get over here to the mini golf. Now, one idea we did have here is this is about where I think we'll come across and enter the mini golf, and it screams down the hill. I've got at least 4 meters drop from here to that path, but we've got a big rectangle here that we could actually punch a deck out, and the deck can overview the fucking 18th hole out that side and the mini golf out this side. I mean, it's not going to be cheap to build. I can easily see a couple of $100 getting burnt on this deck, but if we haven't got a great connection between that and our mini golf, then this could actually work here. So anyway, that's the site. Over and out.